So I recently had the opportunity to go out for coffee with a fellow writer slash educator um, who had asked if I was willing to just kind of come out and chat with them about, h- I guess basically like how do I get it done? Like how have I worked in education for so many years and raised my kids and still you know write books. So I'm always happy to do that. I love actually being able to connect with other authors, particularly when we have like that shared secondary domain as far as like working in education. And she was also a mom just like me. So um I was looking forward to it. It was great. We had a wonderful time. I thought it was a coffee that I thought would maybe last for like 30 minutes, and we were there for 2.5 hours, basically just, laughing and catching up and commiserating. So it was really one of those great, like, fill the well kind of moments. After that conversation, it really sort of made me realize that this is a question that comes up again and again for me. If I do interviews or, guest blog posts for other people, this is a common question that comes up. It's really sort of, um, it gets at the how. How do you write books? But it's not really, if you think about it, it's not how do I write a book? It's not like a craft conversation. It's an execution question. How are you finding the time? Where are you doing it? What is the magic secret sauce for me finally sitting down and getting to work on this book that I've been thinking about for years and years, or maybe even writing for years and years? So I want to talk about that today. Hi, if you're new to this channel, I'm Rebecca Taylor. I'm the best-selling author of psychological thrillers. I'm also creating YouTube content that's going to talk about planning, planners, writing, you name it. So happy to have you here. First off, just to kind of reference, I want to preface this in conjunction with my last video that I did, which was on how I'm now using the 12-week year to kind of put some structure around um, that writing business aspect of my life. And so, creating these YouTube videos is definitely part of, those weekly plans that I'm creating. Getting the writing done as part of those weekly plans. And because I'm an indie author now, um, also all the other aspects of being an indie author fall into this planning system. Like all the things that I am, getting done with regards to marketing, production of the book, design elements, that type of thing. And so there's a lot of moving pieces. And once I realized that I was really going to be leaning into, being that indie author and really taking that career seriously, then I needed some framework around that. Now, in the past, this is what I sort of shared with my friend. I would just basically kind of focus on getting the writing done because I was working full time as a school psychologist. I was raising two young children at the time, and I really just needed to make sure that the writing got done. And I think this maybe brings me to my very first point. So, back then I was still focusing on mostly trying to be a traditionally published author, to find that agent, to get up my book sold to a traditional publisher. Um, and so, really, my biggest focus, my biggest priority was getting the writing done. And once you kind of, shift over to being an indie author, there's a lot more priorities that kind of take up that space on your plate and things that you need to get done. But I really do think that one of the most important things when it comes to, you know, sitting down, getting serious, getting the work done is that you have to prioritize the most important element of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And so, maybe you're also a writer and you'll disagree with me on this, but I would say always, no matter what path of publishing you're wanting to take, the number one priority has got to be getting the book written. And I mean, there are so many other ways that we can and we do spend our time in this career, or, many, many other careers. You can apply this to pretty much probably any career. There are so many different things that pull out of our attention and that, feel really important. Like me getting this video done feels very important for growing my YouTube channel. Getting my newsletter out yesterday was very important for the marketing aspect of my writing career and things like that. But when I talk about priorities, I really mean like what is the priority singular? And, the most important thing I feel like before any of that other stuff has to be getting the book done. It has to be getting the writing done. And, maybe you can do that every day. I have really never, I strive for it, but I've really never been a writer that manages to, even though I would love to, get writing done every single day. But I get it done as often and as often as I can. And so that for the last 20 years, I have managed to write 10 books, which brings me to the point that I actually just, when was that? Last week, finished the first draft of my next book, which is The Last Nanny, psychological thriller. Will be coming out October 1st of 2024. I'll make sure that I put a pre-order link. You bet I will in the description below. But what I mean by bringing that up is that I have a multitude of things on my plate that I need to accomplish in this career. And, this has helped me put some structure around that and my weekly planning. But I still always need to be very clear about what is the number one priority. And the number one priority is getting the book finished. And so I would say that while I had a long list of things I wanted to do, the last sort of week and a half when I was doing that kind of final push to getting that first draft done so that I can then start working on edits was getting the words in. The words had to happen. And, yes, sure, like my newsletter was hanging over my head, getting another video out was hanging over my head. And I would say in some ways, if I had just simply focused on those things, they're almost a little bit easier because they do that kind of magic and terrible thing of like making you feel like you're still being really productive and I'm still working on my writing career, right? This is still all part of my writing career, but it's not actually getting the product that I'm hoping to serve up to the readers. It's not getting that done. And so at the end of the day, if I'm not prioritizing my writing every day, then I don't have anything to offer. There's no point in doing the videos. There's no point in having my newsletter go out. And all the other, there's no point in me actively making sure that I'm engaging in social media and all the other things that, getting the book cover done, shoring up my landing pages on Amazon and things like that. What is the point if I'm not making sure that I'm getting the good quality products together and ready? I'm not writing the book so that I have something to offer. So that in a nutshell is a little bit about what we talked about was this idea that no matter sort of where you are in life, you have kids that you're still raising, working that full-time job, or whether you're kind of a little bit like me, a little later in life, and you're not as maybe focused on those things that require so much of your attention. Still, I think the most important thing is making sure that you have your priorities in order. And if it's that you want to be a full-time writer, or even, you want to be a writer, period, then you have to prioritize the writing. Now if you want to be a full-time YouTuber, I don't, but like if you want to be a full-time YouTuber, then you need to focus on the craft of being a YouTuber, right? Like getting better at making videos, editing videos, or hiring somebody to do that for you, whatever that may be. And so I think this really just kind of gets down to that it's really important to identify what it is that you want and then focus on that thing, recognizing that you have limited time. Now, I want to kind of shift this a little bit because I want to talk about, something that comes up in this 12-week year here. And I've experienced it in my own life. It comes up in conversations that I have with other writers who are either writing full time or working, whatever. And it's this idea of execution, of actually getting the work done. And There are a multitude of things that do and can stand in our way when it comes to sitting down and getting whatever the work is. Maybe it's writing a book. It could be producing a video. It could be any number of things, but that for whatever reason, there's something that you want to do and you're not getting it done. So, let's talk a little bit about how to stop wasting your time and get the work done. Simple as that. So, I'm gonna put this in terms of just me because these are definitely like things that I have experienced, and that's the lens through which I have to kind of view these problems. In addition, it's like I have a sort of a long history of working in, psychology. And this question of like motivation and work completion and things like that certainly has come up with a multitude of sort of people that I've worked with over the years. And one thing I guess I would say is, you have to, I know it's one of those things where it's such a it feels like such a complex psychological problem and so many people run into it, but I really do feel like the solution is so simple that it actually can make people very angry. Like, yes, and maybe I'm going to say this and it's going to make you angry. Sometimes it makes me feel angry when I'm not just doing it. But honestly, getting the work done a lot of times is just sitting down in front of the work. So it's you have to like get yourself to the work. And so with regards to, me writing my book, then I need to sit down to write a book. If you're just kind of busy doing things all day long, like, throughout your house and your job and your life with your family and things like that, and you're never allowing yourself to sit down with the work, then it's not gonna happen. I mean, you can think about being a writer all day long. You're not going to be a writer by thinking about being a writer. At some point, you're gonna have to sit down, and whether it's with a pen and a notepad or your computer or something, you're going to have to put the work in front of you and have the intention of taking the first step. And I think sometimes it's just the getting to the work that is the biggest kind of roadblock. Like you haven't ever really developed a plan for how you're going to just show up in the first place. So, for example, when I was working full time and my kids were young, I didn't have a lot of time and I knew that by the time I got home from working in the schools all day long and then, my kids were always kind of just like I mean, they just got out of school. So that's really kind of a high energy like time. There's just kind of a little bit of chaos and a lot going on in those hours after school through dinner until they're going to bed, right? So I just identified pretty quickly that, the only time I was really going to be able to find was very early in the morning. And I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I would write before my kids woke up. And I'm so glad that I did that. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't easy, um, but I really had stories I wanted to tell. I was very motivated by that desire to be in connection with those stories that were in my head and getting them down on paper. And I had this dream that, this vision they talk about, make sure you have a vision that you're looking towards. And at that time, my vision was to become an author who produced books that other people would read. And that vision was so clear and so strong for me that it was enough to propel me out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, go make myself a coffee and sit. And I was fortunate enough that, I do have this writer, I have an office, I have a space that I could go and work on my book. And so I would say that that's got to be the most foundational important thing is that the desire for what you want needs to be strong enough to propel you out of your comfort zone. So my bed was definitely much more comfortable. I live in Colorado, certainly in like the depths of winter through January and from January through March, it would have been much easier to like roll over, stay in bed and just kind of push that vision and that dream aside and maybe even roll my eyes a little bit and say that's a pipe dream, that's never going to happen. Well, it's absolutely never going to happen if I didn't get my butt out of bed and go sit down with the work. And so I know sometimes that advice, that just do it advice, um, is sometimes painful. Sometimes we resist it. I think a little bit because it acknowledges that we are part of the problem and we are part of what's maybe standing in the way, at least with regards to, the output aspect of the work that we're trying to get done. Like if we're not inputting any time, effort, or energy into what we want, then we're not going to have anything to show for it. So there's just that. Now, I will say that to my next point is like, sometimes you can sit down in front of the work. And, I do this in here mostly. I write a lot of different places though, because of course I travel a lot. Now I work as a flight attendant and I write in airports, I write on airplanes, I write on my layovers in hotels, I write at parks. I write in here when I'm here. Sometimes I write in my backyard. And I would say that sometimes if I'm sitting here and I'm kind of stuck, or I'll do another very annoying and distracting thing, and that is I start to allow myself to kind of, oh, what's happening on Facebook? Or let's pull up Instagram, or now it's Threads. I'm spending too much time on Threads kind of thing. Um, and there's like these just kind of other distractions can kind of come in and pull you away from the sort of more cognitively difficult load of creating your book or your words or your plan for your business or whatever it is that you're trying to focus on. And I would say sometimes, it's helpful. Tip number 1 is to just change your location. Like either go to your backyard or go to a coffee shop or, shift somewhere else. Like if you find that you're just kind of in a place in your house and you're finding it difficult to focus, try switching your location. And maybe you don't have the luxury of leaving your home. Maybe there's young children. You can't, just kind of walk out the door and leave them there. Just try maybe writing in your bed in your bedroom or maybe in their room, wherever that happens to be. But just try shifting your location. And sometimes that can just kind of jar us a little bit and help us kind of refocus. Now, the other aspect of I would say that this has been hugely instrumental in me getting books written is I at first, back in the day, I couldn't afford the very expensive noise canceling headphones kind of thing. So I just had headphones and I had music or white noise that would play through those headphones. And I think that was just really kind of helpful with regards to focusing my attention. Now I have noise canceling headphones and I wear them pretty much all the time when I'm writing. And whether that's here at home or on the plane or pretty much anywhere, I am very reliant on my noise canceling headphones. So I would say that that's like another thing you may want to consider is finding something to kind of help distract from the sort of auditory distractions that happen in our life that can help us really focus our attention back on what we want to be getting done. I would say that this isn't going to probably work with younger kids as much, but I think if you communicate with the people in your life, whether that be, your partner, your kids, if they're old enough to really kind of, respect and acknowledge this and they are okay being independent in your home, why you do this is hang up a do not disturb sign. Let the people in your life know that I'm writing right now. Now, and if that's difficult in your particular family dynamic, like you find that you just, you're needed in that way. And believe me, I understand that. Um, but maybe if it's just like, I need an hour, like for this hour, I'm going to be writing my book. I'm going to be working on my book. Now, I would also say that, sometimes the part where we come into it is then we need to be diligent about utilizing that hour effectively, because I think it can be really tempting to say, oh, we get an hour or we get to go to the coffee shop or, whoever it is in our life is helping us to try to like achieve this dream, then it's your responsibility to be doing the work during that time, like making the best use of it as you possibly can and doing the things that are going to help you be focused. And that doesn't mean you go to the coffee shop and then for the next hour sip your latte and scroll through Instagram. As much as we may enjoy that and I guess it's stress relieving, it gives us the dopamine hits and things like that. It's not helping us get any closer to what it is that we want to accomplish. And also, if we have this kind of agreement with, whoever it is in our life that's, you know, partnering with us to kind of take care of the life that we've created and the people that we've brought into it, um, it's not really sort of, I guess, honoring that help in the best way possible kind of thing. So I just think it's, just make sure that you are utilizing the times that you do get effectively, because they just evaporate when we allow ourselves to get sucked into either video games or Netflix or, anything else under the sun. It's just really kind of being strict with yourself. So that either do not disturb sign or even going somewhere else. And it comes from communicating with the other people in our lives that this is important to me. This is part of who I am. This is what I want to accomplish. And this is the time I would like to carve out to work on this vision. Hey, can you help me out for an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is? And then maximizing that time by actually focusing on what it is you're looking to accomplish when you get that gift of time. So there's that. The other kind of thing I actually hadn't done this until recently, and it's kind of funny, but on these lovely phones, especially, I don't know about the Androids, but on the iPhone, they have this focus mode. So if you swipe down and you can click focus on any one of these. And so I noticed that while I started creating this video, I hadn't done it, and I've had a couple text messages kind of click through. So sorry if you heard that, but I'm just gonna right now like click do not disturb, and that just sort of silences those pings and bings and all that kind of stuff. When I'm on a layover and I'm trying to sleep in a hotel, I put on sleep, because sometimes I might have been up all night working and then I have to sleep during the day. And once I could sleep for 1 or 2 hours and that ping comes through and it wakes me up, and forget it, I'm not going back to bed. So anyway, that's a really handy feature on that phone. And I just think that we sometimes underestimate how easy it is to pull our attention away from that deep focus work that we're doing. And it can be really difficult to shift back into that focus work. And so that can just be kind of one of those like time sucks. And we can definitely help by turning this device onto a focus mode, or maybe even turn it off or put it in a different room or whatever it is you need to do. But that's just going to be kind of be off limits while you're trying to get that work done. Okay, so my second tip, that first one was maybe changing your location. The second one is when you do notice that your attention is getting pulled off into another direction, respond consistently to your non-working behavior. So it's really like you're the person getting the work done, and then you also have to be like the teacher in the room, right? So you're the kid trying to get the work done, but then you also need to be the teacher in the room that's coming around saying, like, tapping you on the shoulder. Are you focused? Are you attending? Are you getting the work done that you need to be getting done right now? And I think it can be kind of helpful, because most of us did grow up in, the school environment, and we have been redirected by those educators in our life. Even if we're homeschooled, your parents were probably like, "Hey, are you focusing? Are you attending to what you need to be focusing on?" And just kind of being this kind of external like force with regards to our working behavior. Now, when we get to be adults, the thought is that we have mastered that skill for ourselves. But the truth is, many of us still really struggle with that. And so I guess I would say make sure that when you notice you are off task, you are not engaging in working behavior, you allowed yourself to get distracted by your phone, you allowed yourself to get on your computer and start watching YouTube videos or whatever the case may be, you're not getting the work done that you want to be getting done. You need to redirect your attention. One, notice that you're doing it, and stop whatever it is that you're doing that's not working immediately. Shut it off, turn it down, turn off notifications, close out of your web browser, whatever you need to do, and reset yourself into like that working behavior. And sometimes it can be like, oh my God, I somehow managed, I just one little notification, I completely got pulled off. And then as what happens, you start scrolling through. I mean, those platforms, they have teams of people that are out there trying to figure out how to rob you of your attention. They want your eyes, they want your attention. They're masters at capturing you and keeping you locked in. And so I mean, of course, the easiest thing is to just not allow yourself to get swayed into it in the first place. But if you find that you have gotten sucked in, the minute you notice you have those moments of like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is not how I want to be spending my time. Turn it off, shut it down, immediately refocus and reset on what your intention was for that working period. And just say, even if you need to kind of have a baby step and say, look, oh, this is hard. It's really hard to stay focused and be in this. And sometimes for me, it comes up when I'm in a chapter that I'm struggling with, or I don't really know exactly what happens next, or I just feel kind of like, blank. And if I just tell myself, okay, look, you just need to sit here for sometimes it's as little 15 more minutes. Okay. 15 minutes, Rebecca. And I need you to just write this paragraph. That's all I'm asking for you. I give myself a small little chunk to accomplish because it doesn't feel overwhelming and I'm 100% sure that I can do it. It doesn't have to be well written. It doesn't even have to be something that actually sticks in the book. But the point is I need to stay here. I need to stay here in this writing time because this is the time I have allotted for it. And it's important for me to just try to refocus. Now, 9 times out of 10, I will say that I get through the 15 minutes, I've written that paragraph and more. It was just the most important thing was that I stopped the distraction and I completely refocused and reset on what it was I was trying to accomplish. So that would be my sort of second tip. Respond consistently to your non-working behaviors. Okay. All right. So now that brings me to my third tip, and that is develop a plan for addressing incomplete work. And so if you set out to work for half an hour and you've been on your phone for 15 minutes, you've written one sentence or, whatever, even if you're not a writer, you're trying to accomplish something else. You're trying to, get content written for a video. You're trying to get your newsletter done. You're trying to sort of whatever it is that's supporting your business. Develop a plan for addressing when you have not done what you said you were going to do. And so I think that's one that's really helpful about the structure, again, about me planning my weeks out. I know what I want to do for the next 12 weeks. And then I also know what I need to get done this week to keep me on track for accomplishing all the things that I want to get done in all the different domains of my writing business over the next 12 weeks. And so if I've sat down to say, work on my newsletter that's a good example of kind of a big project. I send it out once a month, but there's kind of like a lot of moving parts. I need to get links. I need to decide what I want to, have in it. And it's one of those ones where it's like I can, kind of get started on it. And then I'm working on it for about 25 minutes or half an hour. I kind of lose steam. And that's when it's like, oh, I wonder if one of my favorite YouTubers has posted a new video. And then I can kind of just try to do something that's feels less difficult, still kind of feels productive because I tend to watch a lot of content that's about productivity and things like that. But it's really not. It's not getting my own work done. One way you can develop a plan for addressing that incomplete work is come up with an if and if then kind of scenario. And so with regards to my newsletter that I just got done, if and you can say whatever, then I get to X, Y, and Z. And so if I get my newsletter done, then I can do something that I really, really want to do. And so for the example I give there, my husband and I love watching the Below Deck Med shows whenever they come out. And so there was just a new season released. And so, what I sort of said to myself was if I get this newsletter completely done, edited, and scheduled to go out, and it went out on Tuesday, then when Rod comes home tonight, I will get to watch one episode of Below Deck Med with him kind of thing. And so it's really kind of if you get your work done first, then you can have this reward that you really, really enjoy, kind of thing. And it's of course we did this with our kids and, it happened to us when we were kids, all the time. And it can be a really effective strategy. It's harder to kind of hold yourself accountable for it because of course we are adults. Most of us probably here are adults, and we can really kind of allow ourselves access to any of these kind of rewards that we enjoy, regardless of whether we get the work done or not. And I guess I would say, I would just ask you, sure, that's absolutely true, but it's not helping you get to that vision of yourself that you're wanting to accomplish. It's not helping you move towards becoming or being the person that you want to be, like that future version of yourself. And so, yes, this is one small little trick that can just kind of help you in the moment. And I absolutely acknowledge there's nobody really kind of in control of that other than you. You completely step over it. But then I would say that you're also just kind of stepping over that vision you had of yourself. It would be the same as me rolling over at 4 o'clock in the morning on a February being, it's cold. I don't want to get up. I'm not going to do this today. Instead of just holding that vision in your head of like every day, every minute, every second that I continue working towards, getting this work done is moving me closer to the vision of myself that I have seen and created. Conversely, instead of holding a reward, like if you get this work done, then you can watch a Below Deck Med, episode, you can also kind of take things away from yourself. So that's a loss of a preferred activity. So like until I get 10,000 words done, then I'm not allowed to scroll on Instagram, kind of thing. Until I get my YouTube video accomplished, I'm not allowed to leave for the girls' trip up to Breckenridge that I have planned for today. And that's a true statement right there. So I am supposed to be leaving today for a girls' trip that I'm very much looking forward to up to Breckenridge for 2 days. And I said to myself this morning, great, you're super excited about that, but you don't get to leave until you get this YouTube video done. So here I am filming the video kind of thing. And when I'm done with this, I get to pack and get ready to go. But this has to happen first. So I'm delaying that preferred activity. Can't do it until I get this done first. So that can be kind of a trick as well. And this brings me to my fourth tip, which is reward yourself for those milestones, big and small, when you're working towards this vision kind of thing. So, of course, when I finished the first draft of my new book, The Last Nanny, that was a huge milestone. And so my husband and I went out for a really nice dinner. We ordered a wonderful bottle of wine. We cheersed, the whole thing. And so that was kind of a big reward. It was a very nice dinner for a very big task kind of thing. And you better bet that when I'm up in Breckenridge with my girlfriends for these next 2 days, I'm going to be like, hey, we need to have some champagne or something. I'm going to actively be like saying to them, like, I want you to celebrate with me. And so, celebrate those big milestones that you accomplish for yourself, because I think it can be easy to just sort of say, particularly for me, like writing a book, it's like, I got the first draft done. That's great. I know there's still a ton of work done before that book is ready for readers or anybody, really, quite frankly, to read it. But I still want to celebrate. I still want to make a big deal for myself about getting that done, because it's a huge accomplishment for me, and so I want to recognize that. And so when you do meet those big milestones, absolutely make sure that you are celebrating and, get other people involved, and don't wait for them to celebrate you. You celebrate yourself and invite other people to your celebration. There's nothing wrong with that, kind of thing. I would say then you don't also just have to wait for those big ticket items, like finishing a book doesn't happen every day, kind of thing. Reward yourself for those smaller milestones as well, So, I got my newsletter done. Hey, that was the reward. I got to write, or I got to watch Below Deck Med, I'm getting this YouTube video done. Hey, great. Now I get to relax for the rest of today and just focus on enjoying my time with my girlfriends. So all of those kind of things. Now, I tend to be more of an experience reward person. Like that's very rewarding to me, as experiences like that. But some people like tangible rewards. Like maybe it's, a new handbag. Maybe it's a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Maybe it's, going and buying that new book by your favorite author. Sometimes people are more motivated by those tangible rewards. Just know whatever it is that kind of like floats your boat, then, that's the thing that you want to sort of say, this is in celebration of whatever it is I accomplished, and make sure that celebration is, in alignment with the degree of what it was you accomplished. Now, I'm not going to be like, hey, I wrote 1,000 words today. Rod, take me out to a gourmet dinner downtown Denver, kind of thing. And so it's like, make sure that the reward is, is fitting of what the accomplishment was, whatever that may be, kind of thing. And of course, it can be helpful to know what you do find rewarding. What I find rewarding might not necessarily be what is something that's going to excite you or make you feel like you have done a good job. And one thing I guess I would say is like this can be sort of overlooked is, make sure you're telling yourself that you did a good job or you're doing a good job. And I think this might sound silly to some people. And so they're unwilling to kind of like acknowledge themselves in that way. But, honestly, so many of us are running around with just so many like just negative verbal tracks in our head, just kind of almost like put downs or I'm not good enough, I'm not getting this done, why am I this way? Particularly if we have been prone to procrastinating and not getting stuff done. Like I think sometimes we can just be really hard on ourselves. And so when you see that you have done something or you even if it's just a small thing, like I managed to sit here through 15 minutes and engage with my work and really try and I only got a sentence done and that's really all I have in me today, just say like, "Hey, I'm really proud of you for like just sticking with it and still trying to push past this distraction and get the work done and that you're showing up for it. You're sitting down, you're still making that a priority in your life because it's important to you and it's aligned with that vision that you have for yourself. And so, just make sure that you are watching that negative talk and that you are praising yourself for accomplishments, same, big and small. Got the book done, amazing. Hey, I showed up and sat in front of my computer for an hour today and I got some words on the page. I moved the needle. Great. Good job. Good for you. That's moving you inches closer to where you want to be, and plus I just think it feels so much better, when we show up for ourselves as much as we can, whenever it is that we can, whether that's 4 o'clock in the morning, whether that's 10 o'clock at night, if you happen to be a morning person or which I'm a morning person or a night owl, and that just works better for you just, know thyself, I suppose, and, try to set yourself up for success as much as possible. And you're going to be able to close that gap, that execution gap between, what you want to accomplish and what you're currently doing. It's the execution that's between those two places. You have to show up and get the work done, kind of thing. So I hope that like some of these tips were helpful for you, that there are things that you can kind of implement in your own life, in your own sort of work week to help you kind of get closer to being where you want to be and getting accomplished what you want to get accomplished. So thank you. I'll see you in my next video. If you enjoyed this or found it helpful, I hope that you'll subscribe to this channel and give this a like. If you have any questions or comments or there's something that you would like to, if there's something you would like me to address in a future video, go ahead and put that in the comments below. And if it's something that I think I can tackle, I'll definitely make a video about it here. So thank you. Have a great day.